Okay, part 2. Now, of course, the first video I kind of wanted to establish a fact in my own way that another dimension does exist beyond what we can see and hear and feel and touch, much like radiation. And we'll get into that later too. Radiation is a big part of it. But there's something else behind the curtain that's controlling events that are happening today. Now, we know this is not a physical war. We know this is a war of principalities. And of course, principalities simply means territory of the prince. And we're talking about the prince of this world. That would be Apollyon, Satan himself. And forces that we cannot see in high places. They hold offices in high places. Now, what do you think that is? Where do you think that is? Now, this is horses. And the things these horses are wearing are blinders. Now, these are more modern horses, race horses, and that. But back in the old day, they had put these things mostly on mules. Here's like a man with the blinder on. And what these blinders did for these horses, you see them quite often, maybe in the cowboy movies or like the horse races and things like that. They focus the horse's vision in one particular direction, so he can be easily controlled, and the horses won't be so much distracted by what's going on around him in a frantic pace sometimes. Now, we would put those on the mules, and you could hook the mule. I think this is a mule, isn't it? A mule or horse. And you hook them to the wagon, and you could have a dog running around or kids running around on the side, and the mule wouldn't even notice. But otherwise, if you didn't have the blinder on, they would see all this commotion out of the corner of their eyes, where actually their eyes kind of focus outwards, so they can see basically 180 degrees. And but this focuses the vision, of course, in one direction. And they can't see the things running around, distract them, so they won't be jumping up and down or stopping the wagon or going back or just something like that. That could get somebody hurt. So, but they're blinders, and they keep like I said, the animals focused in one direction. They can be more easily controlled. If this is a blinder that completely covers the eye, because the horse will stand there as long as its eyes are blinded. It won't move. So they come in handy. Sort of like television. These are people watching television. These are modern blinders for humans. This keeps your focus sort of in one direction. This tells you what to wear, what to eat, where to go, what's going on in town, how to be the hip person, going around town, making the scene. Or you can just stay home and play video games and watch movies, and this is where your world is. This is you identify with this world that they give us, this false world. But in our society, there's not a whole lot else. And as things progress, like in the cities, it's so fucking dangerous to go outside, or you can go for a walk nowadays. If you live in a regular city neighborhood in the suburbs, or even worse, inside the city proper, all there is TV, and some internet. But television holds I think is the most, of all the mind control weapons, this is like the number one. It's number one. It holds the highest spot. And then you have, nowadays we have iPhones. I don't know much about those, or the games, the video games. I know some of the video games you can actually use them like a Ouija board and bring other things to our dimension through the television, and then you have problems all over the place. It happens a lot nowadays. And other things, other electronic devices. But this is our modern day blinder. It keeps us focused in one direction. It gives us all of the information we need, all the information we need to live, and it sort of leaves out the stuff that matters the most. It keeps us in this artificial world, the superficial world that's been created for us. And we have to live in the boundaries. If you live outside the boundaries, say you don't watch television. I don't watch television. I didn't grow up with television, so it never really affected me. It never really got a hold of me, and it made me addicted to it. But many people are, and my kids are. They are. I mean, I warn them, but nobody listens, of course. This is our modern day blinder, and we're just told, and this is what's causing a lot of the problems today, because television is such a great propaganda machine. It can just divide. And you know what happens after the division? It's the conquering fucking part of it starts happening. Now here's Donald Trump. I'm going to weigh in right here because this is all part of it. And this woman next to him is Paula White. Now, this is a woman, I've told you before, you have these like, I don't know what happens, but you have these like lesser demon guys, right? And they kind of just fly around and do stupid stuff. They're even less than Rumpelstiltskin. They're not even that high on the echelon, the ladder of the whatever rank system that these demonic forces have. I don't know what they have. But I think what happens is the lesser ones like suck the energy off the more powerful ones. So when the more powerful ones move, these lesser ones are kind of like, like leeches. They stay there. And they don't like that, but they can't stop it. And they sort of leech off some of the power. And until they can go somewhere else or do something else. I don't know how it works. But anyway, now here's Paula White. Now Paula White's supposed to be Trump's spiritual advisor. I don't know much about Trump. He seems okay to me. He seems like a regular guy that's maybe not informed. But the thing is, you have to remember, nothing happens randomly, especially in the United States government, or any government on earth nowadays. Everything's rehearsed, choreographed, everything happens on purpose. Nobody comes out of nowhere and just runs for president and wins and defeats all the powers that be, like some kind of fucking miracle. And then you got all these TV evangelists, her being one of them. Oh, he's coming from God. Look, Yahweh, the Creator God, said He would allow things to happen, but He didn't say He would bring these people in and be on their side. He just said He would allow things to happen. Matter of fact, He said He would allow Satan to move certain ways. He's going to allow that in these days. So this is one of the things that Yahweh, the Creator God here, is allowing. He's not on our side. He's just allowing, or Trump or whatever, because Trump is one of these. He's with these people. Now she's totally possessed. Either she's possessed or she's guided by demonic spirits to the point that she can't escape. But they're all around her. And she's giving him fucking advice on I don't know, Christian advice. I don't know what the fuck she's giving him. Some kind of spiritual advice on God or stuff. And she doesn't even know herself. Well, she does know. Because I tell you, these demons know all about it. They know pretty well. But she has gotten rich, and that's all been her whole objective, just like all television, the fucking preachers on television. And here's a picture of her with Joel Osteen. So that gives her away right there. And you remember, Trump's part of this. Oh, Trump. So I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't trust the guy, because like I said, Yahweh is going to allow these things to happen. So I'm just going to go with the flow. I don't give a shit. But, you can tell the people who they are by who they hang around with. Trump is no different than Obama. All we hear is change, make America great again, all these fucking catchphrases. But America is already great. Look at her. This guy's a demonic fucker right there. Look at him. This is just insane bullshit. And Trump's part of it. But they're all part of it. There's nobody that's not part of it. That's the problem. Nowadays, it's infested. These people are just insane crazy. They're puppets that are up there for the show, to put on television, to keep the people focused in one direction, so they will ignore the truth that's all around them. That's what it is. These are world leaders. These have the same problem. They got all these things flying around them. That can only mean one thing. There's more powerful beings, around here too. Otherwise, these other things would be flying around them. They have problems. Either they brought it on themselves, which most of them did, and most of it's a family thing that's been going on for generations. These people. Keep us focused. One direction. Who's bad? Who's good? That's this side, that side. All around. Nobody knows. Chaos. Look at this. Look at this. This is all planned. Now, I don't even know what the hell this is going, but I got one more, I think. Oh. The reason behind all this. And the reason we went to Iraq, of course, I've always said there was never any war, weapons of mass destruction or anything like that Saddam had, or any reason whatsoever that we should have even invaded that country, other than they had some artifacts and we wanted them. And everybody's been looking for these things. Now in 2003, this is some stuff I came up on a while back, but in 2003, the Germans finally announced, I think it was March of 2003, they announced that they had found the tomb of Nimrod in Iraq, where the Euphrates River used to flow. And a month later, we invaded Iraq. We went straight over there to where the tombs are, and you see the Germans archaeologists had to leave because of the war, and they had been on that site since after World War II, a very long time. And we went in, and of course now nobody can find the bones. They can't find the contents of the sarcophaguses and a lot of other relics that are now missing. Nobody can find mysteriously. But before we get to that, exactly that, reanimating DNA. Now there's a lot of interesting articles on, and they've already brought back a lot of life forms that were once extinct. This is one of them here. Boop boop. This is National Geographic. It's a goat. How ironic. It's a goat. Goat head. They brought him back to life. The revival of an extinct species is no longer a fantasy. But is it a good idea? Well, they're already doing it. And I can tell you, countries like China and Russia that don't have the moral foundations that other more Christian countries would have, they've been doing some crazy shit with DNA and gene splicing. I can tell you that right now, probably humans with animals. It's been going on for a long time, my guess. Why not? We have the technology. Why wouldn't they do it? They fucking do everything else. But not only these goats. They're talking about bringing a woolly mammoth back, and they're talking about Siberian tigers and bears and all these extinct species. And of course, everybody remembers Jurassic Park, where they brought back the dinosaurs, and reanimate this and that, and they think they can. I mean, they've done it. They've already done it. Revive the passenger pigeon, and they've already done it. So this will be something that in the next couple of years, or I think next few months, because they're going to announce things that they've been working on for years, and it's already been done. But Nimrod. Why wouldn't they want to reanimate Nimrod? Now he's the most controversial figure probably in all history. This is a statue of Nimrod, and he's holding the lion. Now when a lion is stretched out like this, that could be like 10 feet, okay? So Nimrod was very tall, and they're saying that the remains of Nimrod were like 16 or 18 feet. But if you measure this lion here, and use that as your measurement, and you say this line's like even 9 feet, yeah, you'd be about, 3 9's 18 feet. 9 is 27 feet. So, almost 30 feet tall, this guy. That lion, holding that lion like you hold a medium-sized dog. And they say Nimrod was 1/3 human and 2/3 gods, and he was very big, and he was the one that built the Tower of Babel, of course, and he was the first Antichrist. But in the Bible it says that, in Revelation it says they call him the one that was, is not, and will be. And how does that even work? And he had a head wound, and I guess, I don't know, there's many different ways. Nimrod was killed and all that, but one of the ways was his head was chopped off, or he was sliced in the head by Esau. And that's what killed him, the wound to the head. So that's supposed to be healed. And why not? I've been saying that, look, his tomb was under the Euphrates. The Bible clearly says in Revelation that the revival, or this thing, would be brought up from the Euphrates River in the bottomless pit. That would be death. And maybe we have the DNA. I mean, we have the ability to reconstruct the DNA. And the thing is, a lot of people say, well, if all these malevolent creatures or beings have infested the earth, and their end game is the destruction of all humanity and all life on earth, why would they allow us to repopulate to get to this point where there's so many humans and occupy the earth like we're doing, colonize the earth? And the reason is because they needed technology. They needed technology, and humans are like a roll of the dice. You roll of the dice a million times, and once or twice you get an Einstein or Aristotle or a Freud, or these really smart people, or even a Von Buren, people that can understand things. Not so much, they don't have to invent the things, because these fallen angels will tell you what to do. They just can't create. They're incapable of creating anything. Their whole makeup or their whole being is for destruction. They can't do anything else. So they have to rely on the humans to create for them. So they give us the ideas, just like in the book of Enoch, they give the ideas for weapons, this and that, but we are the ones that create them. They just give the ideas. So, and humans are, like I said, like a roll of the dice. There's only one in so many million that are smart enough to grasp the concept. So these guys can use them. So they have to have tons and tons of humans. in order to have, well, there's one or two that can fucking help them in their agenda, which is the destruction of mankind, every living thing on Earth, and for them to escape, but they won't. Of course, they're all going underground right now. But that's the reason they have allowed us to go ahead and populate the Earth. Now we found these artifacts. We now have the ability to reanimate DNA as long as it's viable, a little bit viable, and we have technologies that the normal human being doesn't know anything about, and they don't want to because everything's on television for them. This doesn't interest really anyone. I hope I'm not blabbering too long, but this is all the tomb of Nimrod. There's a photo here of the American troops going in, but I don't know where it is. And the bull, of course, the bull represents the bull of Wall Street. That represents Nimrod. There's always the bull, the cow. But these satanic forces are influencing all societies today. And they're influencing societies. They're allowing technologies, and pretty soon, who knows, maybe they're going to reanimate Nimrod. Maybe this is the one who was and is not, and now he is. And this would make perfect sense. And there's a lot of this. A lot of people talk about this. It's all over the internet. You can find this everywhere. But what I'm saying is, there's something going on. It's another dimension, and this other dimension is, for some reason, gaining, I don't know, it's gaining strength. It's gaining momentum. Something is feeding it energy, and it's growing. And everything in the world, because of it, like the Bible says, the world's going to groan. The world's going to, groan under all this. And it is. Look at all the things happening right now in the world. And this power is growing. And I call it insanity. And I say insanity is contagious. And what I mean by that is because, look, you get people in a crowd, and all you need is one person that's kind of fucking crazy. And it seems to spread really quick. And look at all the riots and all the nonsense that doesn't make any sense going on right now. And these people just, they're whining and crying and they're talking about things that just don't make fucking sense whatsoever, and they have agendas that don't make any fucking sense, and we're doing things that are basically unreasonable for humans at this point in time, because everything's chaotic. Okay, this is my last video here. I don't think I have anything else. That's it. Duck out.